Hmm. Hmm.
you never had. Cash on the
laughing. I've been having nightmares. A dark silhouette. Some shapeless man, laughing. The voice sounds almost like the visitor. It must be him. Geno. And I don't think we can face him without Jones. The more we investigate, the more convinced I am. The sprites are the key to restoring Jones. I need access to the visitor's research on the sprites. He used them to power the zero-point stabilizer. I need to know how. I need to understand the connection between the sprites and the zero-point. I can feel it in my gut. That's the key. Wow. The sprites are made from the same stuff as the zero-point. Did they come from the zero-point when it reformed? I think they want to help Jones. If I'm right, Sloan can use this to wake Jones up.
Looper, I'm working through the research Hope stole from Geno's lab.
These sprites aren't just creepy looking. They, how to put it, don't exist. Or sometimes exist. Or exist more than everything else. The scientist would have had a field day experimenting on these things.
The visitor called them existentially malleable. I thought he was just being poetic.
Whatever's keeping Jones in nap time mode is outside of my expertise. And my expertise is everything. So you'll need a miracle to wake him up at this point.
Thankfully, these sprites might be our answer to that. Jones's vitals improve every time we bring a sprite near his tank.
Ew, why? They're so gross.
Something in his system is responding to them. Or to the zero-point energy in them.
Let's hope these things can help get him back up on his feet. We have enthusiastic consent from these little weirdos to borrow some of their, essence.
You can understand them?
When I had a mouth, I bit people. All the time. These freaks just use them for cooing adorably. But they want to help our sleeping beauties, so at least there's that.
I'll run some tests, but I think we can use this to wake Jones up.
Good. He's annoying, but less annoying than most people.
Jones's cognitive signs are finally improving.
For the first time since he was born, maybe. He needs to wake up. I don't know if we can do this without him.
We'll need every ally we can get to face my father. The only way to counter Geno is to do it under the radar. I don't know why he's playing spy, but it can't be for a good reason. We're going to find out what he's been up to. This space... Was it underneath Sanctuary the whole time? He's been spying on us, accessing our systems, watching us, learning all of our secrets.
Have you noticed these weird readings on Jones's tank?
Somebody's adjusted the chemicals. It's put his toxicity levels into the danger zone. The last changes to his tank were made by... the visitor. If you hadn't caught that, Jones would be dead. Our theory was correct. That's not the visitor. It's my father, Geno. He was supposed to be dead. My sister died for nothing. We need to focus on what happens next. He wants the zero point.
He's just waiting for us to stabilize it for him.
So we choose between doing his dirty work or letting the zero point destroy everything.
My father, Geno, is back. After all this time, he always wanted perfect control. And until he gets it, he's tormenting us. Provoking Foundation, hurting Jones, stoking distrust between our allies. We've been feeling hopeless because he wants us to.
Here's how you can get in on the action of Gamerhood and have a shot at your very own State Farm themed Secret Lab Titan Evo chair. All you have to do is play my new game for a chance to win. For complete rules and eligibility requirements, go to statefarm.com/gamerhood.
Hi, I'm Clarissa. Using Premiere, I turned a year's worth of footage into a story. I dropped my clips into the timeline, color graded for a vintage vibe, added captions in seconds, and just like that, I had the perfect recap of my favorite moments.
In clutch from Virgo, it was also one of the worst hate watches we've seen ever.
Builders don't imagine a business. They build it on base 44. You have the idea. The only thing left is to start.
FNCS qualifiers are officially over. We have all 50 teams in the grand finals, and we are missing some huge names like Kanata, who has broken his streak. I want to break down who made it through the finals, how it happened, show you guys some insane clips, and how it's affecting the drop map. We now have Venno switching drops yet again, and everyone's extremely confused where he's actually dropping. I also want to break down the huge update that's dropping the day before grand finals and talk about how this could affect the grand finals lobby. There's a lot to talk about. Let's jump into it. Before we get into talking about the LCQ finals, I do want to talk about the update Fortnite just dropped a couple days ago and the update that will be dropping right before grand finals. In case you guys missed it, there is a new Spider-Man update coming out. We got a trailer. I'll let it play in the background. It looks super cool. We didn't get too much details. Most of the video was actually the trailer for Spider-Man the movie, not really the additions in the game, and it was kind of a little bit at the end. But we will be getting web shooters back in the game, which is a huge change, but I will point out Fortnite has already clarified they will not be in grand finals, which I am very happy about. Not because I don't like the web shooters. I think they're a fantastic item. If they were in tournaments after grands, I'm totally fine with it. I just don't think we should be getting any major changes the week of grands unless we can avoid it. Fortnite's done a pretty good job of avoiding massive changes right before big tournaments for a while now. The last big one I can think of, other than map changes, which there's been some small map changes, usually Kanata seems to get screwed over here, but we haven't really had a huge like meta defining change since like Nitro season with the Slurp cactus. So at the same time, Fortnite's done a good job. I wasn't too worried, but I am happy they clarified the web shooters will not be in grand finals. But yeah, if they're in after grands, I think they're a really cool, fun, unique mobility item. They are kind of just like a grappler, but they are way better in the early and mid game, which when we had them in Chapter 3 Season 1, led to a pretty cool meta of a lot of early and mid game fighting and aggression. So wouldn't be mad to see it, but just don't want to see it for grands. But let's go through the other update Fortnite did just drop with a whole bunch of changes that are in grand finals. Now, first one again, storm circles now close faster in the later phases of a match. Early game pacing is unchanged, but as the match goes on, you'll have less time to rotate late. This is an active trial and we want your feedback. Does the pacing feel better? Are late rotations still doable? Let us know. Now, again, to specify, this is the one change of this update that isn't in competitive. Again, I am a fan of this change. Potentially, I want to test it out and see how it goes, but I do not want it being in competitive the week of grand finals. It would change too much and have too many strategies go out the window, but if we test it and like it after that, I don't mind it being in competitive. Hypex tweeted out the exact values of these storm changes and they are quite interesting. So storm wait times reduced by 98 seconds. Considering a game is only 22 minutes long these days, a minute and a half less of storm wait times is kind of crazy. Storm closing times are reduced by 50 seconds total. Phases 2 to 5 circles are 7 to 20% smaller. So there's going to be more storm and less safe zone, and triangle shaped storms were disabled. That is a thing obviously for pubs, but the other 3 changes could come into competitive, and for the most part, I'm not super mad about it. I want to see what Fortnite does, but I want to see how it actually affects competitive. It's really hard to judge these kind of storm changes without seeing them. You kind of need to actually get in them, play them, and feel them out rather than just hearing about them. It's really hard to kind of imagine how this would feel. But one major change I do want to see is just storm being more punishing in general. I've talked about this a bunch where Fortnite's in a state right now where players are so good at defensively building and running away from people and staying alive, you kind of need really powerful weapons in the game to actually kill them. But if you have powerful weapons in the game, you kind of need powerful meds, because otherwise you get hit for 180, you kill the person, and then you have no meds and you just die to a third party, which is kind of miserable. So you have to add powerful meds like chug jugs and things like that. But then when you have really powerful meds in the game, storm doesn't really become an issue anymore. Like right now, up until the 2-tick zone, which is like halfway through the game basically, storm is just kind of like, you know, it's there, but who really cares? You got med kits, you got chug jugs, you can buy them at all the vending machines, all the gold. It just, in competitive especially, it feels like storm needs to be a little bit more punishing. Again, Not a change before Grands, but after Grands, I want to play around with it. If you've watched any major competitive game mode right now, you'll probably notice this. It's also a factor of the new Surge. Because you don't need to be dealing so much damage, you kind of want to avoid players, and going deep in Storm makes it easier to avoid people. But as you can imagine, if every player on the map is avoiding each other, it doesn't make for the most exciting gameplay. Again, the pro players seem to be pretty on board with it. I think they would probably like a change to encourage some more fighting if it was skillful. I think things like mid-map objectives could also help this as well. If they added like, you know, a Rift Island, caches, things like that got people fighting who were in zone to give them some kind of advantage of not just camping in the storm, that could be cool too. But this could be also another good change to potentially change up the pacing, because I do think it needs a little bit of work right now. Now for the changes that actually are affecting the game and competitive right now, it looks like Fortnite's gone for a direction where they want ARs to be a little bit more powerful and pistols to be a little bit weaker. They have reduced the drop rate of pistols across the map out of chests and floor loot. It is just harder to find pistols now. They have buffed the surgical burst assault rifle so it is more accurate while in motion. So if you're running, jumping, sliding, things like that, it is more accurate now. They made the Warforged assault rifle shoot faster, reload quicker, and be more accurate. And they've said that assault rifles have settled into a more limited role in the scene since the launch of the season, so they've rebalanced them to bring them in line with other inventory options, mainly the pistol. Most pros are just running the pistol over the assault rifles, and while the pistol is still good after these changes, it has tried to make the assault rifles a little bit better, which again, I'm not mad about. They did also buff the damage of the bank shot pistol. It now has drops more often and does more direct damage. The bounce damage hasn't been changed though, so if you don't know how this gun works, there is no headshot multiplier. Hitting someone in the head does nothing. You have to bounce the shot into them to get the critical damage. And while I haven't seen too many pros who have mastered this yet, if someone has, they're probably keeping in the back pocket until grand finals, because that would be crazy. But these changes are interesting. Now with a purple and gold bank shot pistol, if you and your teammate carries them, if you hit 2 direct shots without the bounce, you will actually 3-2-1 instantly 200 to 0 someone. I don't think we'll see a lot of pros carrying these throughout the games, or at least not too many. Some players do it just to get early surge and try to keep their surge topped up, because an instant 90 to 100 tag just with hit scan gun is kind of powerful, but you then have to give up carrying something else like mobility or meds, or unfortunately an AR or pistol. So your kind of end game potential goes down. However, teams that drop kind of mid-map around like Frosty, I imagine like Acorn Bolt, Sky and Scroll, they could pick up 2 of these in their surge base and just 3-2-1 and get a free refresh. And then if they don't, just drop them and grab other weapons and rotate out. I do think we'll see these used more in grand finals, especially with these changes. They also made the mythics weaker. They said to bring this in line with our standard mythic weapon stat progression, the mythic ranger pistol now deals slightly less damage, and the mythic rapid fire SMG now holds more bullets. The mythic rapid fire SMG was a little bit weak. It really didn't get carried at all because the clip size was so small. Even though it does good player damage, the structure damage isn't really that good. So by the time you got in a box, you had no bullets remaining to shoot the player. Now with the extra bullets, it actually is a lot more viable, and you might see teams carrying it more. Remember, this does drop over near wonky lands. This will affect teams like Reet and Iomzo. I'm excited to see whether any pro carries it, because for the most part, since they added it, I haven't really seen it. Let's talk about the LCQ finals, the last chance for teams to make it to grand finals. Kicking off with NA, we had none other than Shadow and Virgo come out and get a 7 elim win in game number 1. I say they, Shadow helped, but it was definitely the Virgo show. Oh no, Virgo Shadow is so stacked, bro. Virgo Shadow are healthy. And he's got the refresh.
There's Storm playing this team that seems out of Storm shock and hate. This team's got a Storm shock.
Moneymaker now trying to find their footing.
Moneymaker, EU win!
Some teams, for others.
Nah, I think Virgo Shadow beat him here. Let's see.
Online here, 3 eliminations for them. This is getting interesting.
No, they don't have enough whites. High has more whites.
This is a high win. Yeah, this is a high win, bro. Madden killed the lurker too.
Oh, Scare's going up. Scare's Griezmann.
Scare carried him.
He got shockwave down. Wait, Madden, he's got storm sickness. He has storm sickness. Can he res him? I don't think he can res. Just take his. No, he can't. Yeah, he can't. No, he has storm. No, Madden has sickness. Madden has sickness. Doesn't he? He does. He does. I told you. Oh, did he die again? What the fuck's happening? Oh!
Shadow died, guys. Come on. Yeah, it's fine. All the reels come down to this moment.
Oh, Moneymaker's a duo. He's only duo.
Moneymaker win.
2v1, Moneymaker.
2v1, it's a 2v1.
He has no master.
The greatest fighter in the game.
Fnatic has 0 build.
We're taking so much Storm.
Wait, we just chop it, no? Oh my god, Virgo wins. Virgo wins. He wins.
He tries to go around. The Storm's gonna do
oh my god, Virgo wins. Yo,
so good. He's
Venom.
so good.
Moneymaker's terrible.
Bro.
You gotta see the shot he hit. You gotta see the shot he hit.
Bro. Not only was this an insane clutch from Virgo, it was also one of the worst hate watches we've seen ever from Veno and Aegis. If you've seen social media at all, Shadow and Virgo have been pointing it out. Veno and Aegis were trying to coach like 5 different teams into making sure Shadow and Virgo didn't make it to grand finals so they could go Heatwave Harbor uncontested. Unfortunately for them, literally the first game they came out and won it, meaning all that effort was wasted. Veno has now left Heatwave Harbor and is actually going Latte Landing. I'll talk about the grand finals drop spot once I go through all the teams. Game number 2, we then had Madden and Chance come out and get a 9 elim win after getting a 6 elim fourth in game number 2, so doing very, very well. At this point, Moneymaker and Finane have been playing pretty solid. The European imports have gotten a 3 elim second in game number 1. It was them that kind of sold a little bit to Virgo. I'm not going to lie, they didn't play that the best, but luckily 2 games later they got an 8 elimination win in game number 3 to make their first ever NA Central Grand Finals. Game number 4, we had Angel and Joe, that is Batman Joe, who got a 12 elim win. And then game number 5, we managed to have Magma and Void win it after a crushing endgame where a whole bunch of big teams like Bucky weren't able to get the win, and of course Kanata. This means Kanata has now broken his streak of being the only player in the history of Fortnite to make every single FNCS Grand Finals. Now, this is a very sad one. I don't think people realize just how impressive that is, not even just within Fortnite, but in esports in general. Think about how much changes in this game. Think about the fact that it's an open esport where anyone who has a PC or a console, if they're good enough, can get on and compete. And despite all of the seasons, all of the metas, Kanata never missed grand finals. Now, Kanata's had a lot of bad luck as well, with his POIs getting blown up right before big tournaments, had issues with teammates, had to go to NA West last season because he had no teammate options. Kanata, throughout all of that, has made every grand finals until now. It is truly sad to see this. You got to think back. Kanata has been making every grand finals since before Tfue quit. Think about how long it is since we've talked about or thought of Tfue in competitive. That's when Kanata first started qualifying, and he hasn't missed a tournament since then. So it is going to be a bit sad and a bit weird to see Kanata not in grand finals, but it is a streak that inevitably had to come to an end. And it's not because they played terrible. They were the most consistent team that didn't get a win. They got a 7 elim 9th, a 6 elim 2nd, a 5 elim 5th, a 5 elim 2nd, and a 2 elim 16th. They got 2 seconds, but as we know, a win's what does it. If you don't get a win, you don't go to grand finals. You can already figure it out as well, because I've gone through the 5 teams that have gone through. That means Mero didn't go through, Bucky didn't go through, G Money isn't up there, Cole didn't make it. Unfortunately, a whole bunch of big teams on NA were not able to make it, and it was a very, very stacked finals. Taking a look at how the drop map has shifted now, like I said, Aegis and Veno have marked Latte Landing. Now, they did kind of go on a bit of a world tour. I think they were trolling a bit for the content. They marked on pretty much every single tier 1 team. They said they were dropping on Peterbot. They said they were dropping on Clicks. They said they were dropping on Booga. They did end up landing on Latte, and I think this is actually where they plan on going. Now, if you notice, there are 3 teams here. That is a bit problematic. A lot of people are expecting that Madden and Chance might actually leave and end up dropping on Queasy, since Cole and Madden were going on that Poison Ivy split all season. 20 and Chimp, we're not really sure exactly what's going on there. I believe Veno and 20 are at least reasonably close. I don't know if Veno thinks 20 might leave. 20 hasn't said anything at this point. He has been going Latte Landing all season, and while Latte Landing is not the best POI on the map, I think it's Aegis and Veno's best chance at getting one uncontested. And if they do get uncontested, they might not be able to win grands. I mean, it's Veno and Aegis, you never know. They could pull off a miracle tournament, but they very well could make LAN, and that is very important right now. I think Veno does not want to be going into the last chance global qualifier without a LAN spot. Remember, we have this FNCS Grand Finals for 6 spots on NA to go to Globals, but if you don't get it, there's 2 spots left in the mini FNCS, the last chance Globals, that happens after this FNCS. These teams definitely want to have their LAN ticket booked before they play in that, so we'll see if it ends up being a smart decision. They are going to be triple contested as of right now. No one is left. They're not the only ones triple contested. Now that we have Moneymaker and Finane into Grand Finals, they are contesting Paper and Zen and Oliver OG and X-Pon in the middle of the map. We also have Envy, Tyler, Curly, Liam, Jace, and Cade and Real dropping now at Sunken. It looks like Liam and Envy Tyler are trying to get Cade to leave. The way Scrims was playing out was very interesting. These teams were looking quite friendly with each other. I believe the ultimate goal here is for Curly and Jace's teams to try to end up splitting it. You'll notice Clicks isn't contested, but he kind of is contested. He is trying to claim the house to the northwest of Sanctuary, which on a lot of regions like Europe is actually not part of the Sanctuary split, and that's why Clicksy and Aiden are trying to take it, but Clicks wants it. So we are going to potentially see Clicks versus Clicksy here, but again, Clicksy has his own issues to deal with, as Jargu and Carillion is also trying to take some of their loot on their split. As of right now, Booga and Braids have also ended up contested, as Carntrap and Darzi, who are going down at Sunken, are now going to be landing on them at Grove. Now, Booga has been going Grove all season, but so has Carntrap. He's been contesting Booga in divisional cups, so I believe this spawn fight will happen, or the duo can split it. Grove has a fair bit of loot, and there's quite a fair bit of loot that's spread out very wide. There's a good chance this will come down to a split unless Booga can play really, really aggressive to lock it down. We also have triple contested over near Calamari, or to the north of Calamari. Void, Cynics, and Havoc are going at it. Just to the west of that, we have Dolzier versus Skittles. We then have some other spawn fights, Nut versus Alongo down next to Heatwave Harbor. Despite having to wait till LCQ to make finals, Shadow and Virgo have ended up with uncontested Heatwave Harbor, so they're going to join the list of insane teams right now with really good chance to win grands. Peterbot and Poyo still at Sinister, Uncon, Clicks and Rapid at Sanctuary. We have Victor V and Queasy on their split, Higgs and Curve over at Lifty. We have Acorn and Bolts over at Frosty, Harvey and Minish on their split. NA Grand's looking crazy. I will not do a full prediction video right now. I just want to kind of talk about how the drop map is looking. Don't worry, I will do a prediction video in the next couple days. Taking a look over at EU, we had so many big names with the last chance to make it through, and we had game 1 won by Wheat and Syned with a 10 elimination win, a very, very dominant performance from this duo. Then we had Bimbo and Radeon get the win in game number 2 after going down on spawn, or around spawn on game number 1. Game number 3, we had Wi-Fi and Boris, so 3 teams maybe you weren't expecting as much. Wheat and Syned, I think, was the least surprising out of these 3, but with some of the other caliber of lobby teams in this lobby, like Mr. Savage, like Tayson, people were kind of confused and starting to get really worried until in game number 4 it happened, the thing everyone was waiting for. Mr. Savage and Truly booking their ticket to grand finals. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
Two solos.
No mats. Need to build for me.
3 solos. One solo and 3 duos.
Storm Singer's warning is a bit sketchy.
3 duos and a solo.
3 duos and a solo. 3 duos? Why is this the most stacked game so far? Wait, they knocked one. That's duo knocked. 2 duos and a solo, I think. Wait, yeah. 2 other duos and a solo.
Split me.
Bro, is you. Split mats. Nice.
Oh my god, one duo and a solo, one duo and a solo. Did they knock? Knock each other. Oh my god, knock one.
Hold on. Between them.
Which one's the solo? Which one's the solo?
Do you have any mats at all? No, you need to keep building them. I need light ammo if you have. Give me light ammo.
Oh my god, 250 ammo. Let's go. Who's the solo? He's still griefing. I think they drop back to... I think the solo's playing heal early. This is so good, as long as the solo doesn't clutch. The solo can't clutch and we win. Shotgun waits to do it. Oh my god, 2v1! 2v1!
Running an online brand? Yeah, it's a lot. Getting your domain on Wix Domains?
He's white. No, they win this. He's white. It's a win. Yes! Let's go, baby. Oh my god.
Let's go! Yes!
Good shit, baby. Let's go.
Oh my god, let's go, bro.
Mr. Savage and Truly played really, really well throughout this tournament. They did end up actually being contested by Tayson over at Frosty. I was quite surprised to see this. I was even more surprised to see that Tayson was kind of dragging the fight out a little bit. Game number 1, it dragged out for a bit. Savage managed to win and go on to get a 6 elim 8th. Game number 2, Savage tried to push them and fight them, ended up going down in 45th. Then they got a 6 elim 4th in game number 3 after winning the spawn fight. And then in game number 4, Tayson went for the 50-50 drop. Mr. Savage got the gun first, 1v2'd them both, and then went on to get the 8 elim win. In that endgame as well, Mr. Savage got landed on by Rezon twice on high ground, had to fight them off before then winning a 2v2 against Panzer and Yapko. So he had to fight off 2 of his ex-teammates to then clinch the grand finals qualification with Truly. Truly has now made 2 grand finals ever, and he's done both of them through LCQ. So the young Swede can handle the pressure, and they are looking quite solid coming into grands. The last spot of the day was taken by Izzy and Nosif in game number 5 with a 5 elim win, which means, yes, all the other huge teams we've talked about did not make grand finals. No Yapko Panzer, no Mustache Tayson, no Akira Kurama. It was a very, kind of, I want to say, bittersweet ending. Mr. Savage got the qualification, which I think was a lot of people's fan favorites, but we still lost a lot of really good teams. Taking a look at how the drop map has changed on EU, you'll notice there is one big team missing, and it's actually Mr. Savage. They have not marked where they're going currently. A lot of people are wondering if they're going to be ending up at Sanctuary, but after talking to Mr. Savage, he jumped in my call to watch the rest of EU and NA as well. He didn't seem that keen on dropping Sanctuary. He did say it was a bit rough in Heat. There's also a lot of teams around them right now, and a lot of them are really good. Marius and Feroxy versus Cringe and Volko on the split next to him. They would have to go up against Wox and Kiro, which is looking pretty rough. Now that Wheat and Sined have qualified through, they're actually landing on Ping and Ghost just down near Sinister Strip, which should be really good for Chino Pablo to hopefully lock down that Mythic AR and maybe get a bit of a third-party fight going on in there as well. This isn't an LCQ team, but Focus and Thomas HD are now contested over at Heatwave Harbor. Zabe and Wolvax have now marked on them as well. We have Izzy and Nosif contesting Wi-Fi and Borsak. Again, that's actually two teams who qualified through LCQ, now both dropping on each other. We have Podesai and Sato now being contested by Fastroki and Noah Riley. They have now going cluster as well. You'll notice Huddy and Fishy uncontested at Wonky. That is one team that I think a lot of people are expecting Mr. Savage to maybe land on. He's had a bit of, a history with Huddy when it comes to the bird. Could maybe give it back to him a little bit at Wonky land. It is one of the major POIs right now that I think a lot of people have eyes on as being contested or uncontested and being held down by a team that maybe isn't as strong as some of the others, right? Like Sharkantini still at Calamari, Uncon, Vico, Malabuka at Lifty, Sky and Scroll over at Frosty, Chino Pablo at Sinister. But I think these are teams that a lot of people would expect to have a drop uncontested, whereas Huddy and Fishy, I think a lot of people are waiting to see if they get surprise contested. Now, just like NA, we do have some drops triple contested. We have the Muzz Rise split on NA, triple conned on EU, Vidil versus Dynas and Pixovsky. Middle map still a place people want to be, Godoy versus Nebs. Swizzy Pixie were not able to lock down all of Battlewood. They are now being contested by Twek and Mydro. Pink versus iDrop. It is looking like a very, very fun grand finals, but again, I will give my full breakdown and predictions in another video in a few days. I kind of want to sit and think about it and see how the drop map changes because everyone's kind of just started marking really quickly.
Did you know there's a new AI tool that allows you to create AI-generated YouTube thumbnails by just pasting a YouTube video URL? It will automatically scan the video and then create professional thumbnails in seconds using AI with no editing and no prompts.
just like that. I beat you in, crank up back to back. Oh, oh, just like that. I see a dub in my future stats. Oh, I know a place you can go. The doghouse outside my massive abode. It's lovely, it's cushy, and sometimes it's cold. And watch me get this gold. I just want it all. I just want it all.
We up in your business, we ain't stopping, yo, it's time to go, let's get it. Whole squad, get ready now, let's go all out, let's win it, win it. We gon' get the bag, we gon' get the loot. And if we gotta fight, you're gonna get the boot. Nowhere to hide, when we in pursuit. 'Cause we the champions, y'all can't dispute.
Fortnite fam, finals is this weekend. We still have 5 spots to fill. And today we're going to have 5 games to fill those spots. But the only thing that matters is the Victory Royale. Welcome to the Last Chance Lobby. My stress levels are already through the roof. Welcome back, everybody. This is the FNCS. This is the Last Chance Lobby. This is it, Kelly. If we want to keep the FNCS dream alive, if we want to take it to finals and look to fight for one of the spots, go to the Global Championships in Antwerp, this is it. And the only thing that matters, Kelly, it's not consistency, it's not how cool you are, it's the Victory Royale.
And I mean, what dreams we got to see keep alive over in EU. I can only hope that we get a taste of that over in NA. Obviously, Savage going through, going to see him compete in the grand finals. And obviously, there's some big storylines, Vivid, of notable players over in NA that are also on the edge of barely qualifying.
I mean, these styles of games are so fun. A win and you're in. That is all that matters. Very excited to go ahead and clinch our last 5 teams. That way we can kind of fill out that 50-team lobby for grand finals on Saturday and Sunday. Very, very exciting stuff, Zeke.
Ah, man. This is extremely... Is anybody else hot? Just me? Okay, that's... IVRs, let's do it. Let's take a look at the session summary. I want to just get right up into the nitty gritty, okay? Vivid likes to grab some of the numbers for us to kind of help contextualize the talent in the LCL. So talk us through it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, talking about the experience that we're going to be seeing in a lobby like this, again, we already have 45 teams already qualified to the grand finals that cannot play in this, which is why we see those FNCS finals appearances amongst all of our players, 230. If you were kind of tuning into the heats, this number in heat number 1 and 2 was around 300, and then in heat number 3, it was actually 400 plus. So this lobby is, of course, going to have a little bit less experience in it. That being said, we still do have some winners in the lobby here, right? 9 total FNCS wins, so kind of surprising to see some players that have won FNCSs before kind of fighting in this last chance to actually make it into a grand final. And then 38 new duos kind of forming right before this last chance qualifier even kicked off. So some last minute adjustments. Hopefully it kind of works out for them teams, Kelly.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about some of these last minute adjustments. Some, I don't want to say potential rivalries because it is, teams breaking up, potentially facing each other. But at this point, and especially NAC, everyone has teamed up at some point. So anyone that they go up against is probably some point their teammate. So I just don't think that there's really any rivalries anymore, at least as far as these games are going to be going that we're seeing today, Zeke.
Yeah, they're all desperate for one thing, the Victory Royale, right? We got to make it to finals. We got to try and aim for one of those global championship spots. That's the only thing on our minds. So there's been some things, some contestation, some contested situations across the map, specifically over in Heat Wave Harbor. Obviously, you kind of hinted at some big names that still haven't quite qualified. Man, Shadow and Virgo, a duo I just would not have anticipated having to be put in this situation, fighting their way through the LCL.
Yeah, when you say duo, you have to say global qualified duo because that is obviously what is part of their name. They have already made their way to the global championship, so to see them having to go through the last chance lobby, I don't think is something that we expected. And after not qualifying for Heatwave or for their heats, Heatwave Harbor kind of got opened up and a lot of people fought for it. Now, obviously, they're not going to be going up against a bigger name. They're going to be going up against a smaller team, so I think it's going to be a little bit of an easier situation for Shadow and Virgo. However, if they do qualify through, that does open up the question, Vivid, of are they going to be going up against Veno and Agers there?
Yeah, I mean, this process that they've kind of forced themselves into, kind of being in this last chance lobby here, not only are they going to be contested today, yeah, Kelly, if they do qualify today, if they do win one of those games, then, you know, because they've kind of dropped down into this last chance, they will then probably be contested in grand finals as well. That being said, for Shadow and Virgo, their chances today, I feel very, very good about this duo. I mean, I felt good about them in the heats. Unfortunately, it didn't happen, but even just yesterday in that last chance qualifier, they won 4 out of their 10 games. I mean, even when we look back towards the play-ins, they got 3 wins there as well. So this team knows how to win games, especially in these lobbies that aren't necessarily as stacked. So yeah, I feel like Shadow and Virgo are definitely favorites to go ahead and win one of these 5 games today.
Okay, let's talk about another duo, the Heatwave Harbor, right? Bucky and Cam, again, kind of put in a situation. They've got to fight their way through the LCL. Talk to me about what changes we've seen them make.
So Bucky and Cam throughout the season were landing Sinister Strip. However, there was a bit of a fight for it. So they did eventually move up to Heatwave Harbor for Heat 3. And then obviously they were doing that to not go up against a big team, but then had Venno and Agers move to Heatwave Harbor in the last second and lost to that off spawn. But we are not losing. We are all winning when we are blessed with this picture of Bucky. Thank you, production, as always. But now they're back at Sinister. They're much more confident in this drop spot. And I think going up against the team that they are, we're going to have a better performance than what we saw at Heats.
Now, that being said, of course, Sinister Strip is expected to be a little bit better than Heatwave Harbor. So Bucky and Cam, if they can make it off spawn there out of that contested scenario, then yeah, they'll have really good loot for it. But, you know, I like to take a look at some of the socials here. Bucky himself went ahead and mentioned he is going for height 5 out of 5 games. If you make it to the end game, all 5 games, I'm going to be looking for Bucky up on the high ground.
Okay, I like it. And that's where we got to be, right? We got to be thinking about winning games, and height wins games. Now, for right now, I think about another height, and it's the tallest man that I know, Jacob PR and MDF. Say what's up, guys.
Maybe I should be sitting up there so I can make Zeke right there, but this is where we go into this type of format. This is the biggest change from heat stages into the last chance lobby, is there's no more consistency qualification. So as Vivid was alluding to, we're going to see a lot of these teams attempt to go for the high ground.
That's right. And you know what? Bucky's laying the foundation down perfectly, because that is the story of the day. Jacob, when we start looking at the gameplay, when we start setting up expectations, I mean, you and I both know that this type of setting is going to call for chaos on the high ground, and that makes every game usually very exciting.
Yeah, whether you take it early in the 8th zone or try to take it later on in the game, we have so many examples throughout the weekend. Booga and Braids, Noxie and Dash, they're the ones that are pinpointing the perfect moment to try to take it. You can even see here, even without a lot of materials, sometimes that little bit of elevation means the difference. You can go ahead and laser people from up above, pressure them to burn materials. Even if you're not actually getting the eliminations yourself, getting them out of your way is just as important.
Yeah, usually it's easier said than done, at least from what we've seen, of course, here on the big stage. So, Jacob, with that, I mean, we got 5 games ahead of us. It's going to be really interesting. Zeke, what do you think about that?
I'm thinking we're in for some good Fortnite. I'm going to steal the classic Vivid answer. I'm looking for some good Fortnite. But, of course, we got... Of course, we gotta start taking a look at the lobby list, right? We gotta look at some of these names and maybe break down some of the duos we're excited to see or think we could walk away with the Victory Royale. Let's start with G, Money, and Scare. So I think I'm gonna frame most of these questions kind of in the same way, friends. Can they walk away with the Victory Royale right here when it matters most?
So we did talk about how many newly formed duos there were for the last chance lobby, and this is one of those duos, so that does always raise a little bit of a concern. Scare originally was playing with Chance in Major 2 for the opens. G-Money was playing with OSID, and we have seen Scare go through the last chance qualifier. He did get a win previously, and he actually qualified through the summit through the second chance, so he is used to these high pressure situations.
Great to see. I mean, listen, Z kind of framed the question. Can this duo win a game? Well, they proved that they could win games. Maybe not necessarily in this specific lobby. We are, of course, hoping that they do. But yesterday, in that last chance qualifier, they won 4 out of their 9 games. And listen, guys, at home, I know that the elims aren't going to matter today. I know that the second places, the third places, whatever, they're not really going to matter. But I feel like I have to mention it. They won 4 out of their 9 games yesterday, kind of leading into today to qualify for it. They were in first place on that leaderboard, and they did so with 14 average eliminations. I mean, Scare and G-Money, they are going to be scary.
I like that. I like that. We have high hopes. Let's bring up that lobby list again. We got to talk about this next duo. So you mentioned, Kelly, OSID, but now OSID is actually paired up with global champion Miro. So same question, right? Can we get a victory royale with only 5 games to do that?
So not only did OSID actually play with G-Money, but he also played with Scare. So it's funny that he played in just this year alone, played with both of those players. Now to team up with someone like Miro, who, although they might not be currently in like the best, I mean, you know, the best state of their Fortnite was the best in the world. They're considered the GOAT. So I think bringing someone like OSID along with Miro, who has that experience, they have that knowledge, is going to be a great pairing, and definitely that potential to kind of read what the meta is for this, because, you know, you never can really predict what an LCL is going to be like. And I think Miro's the perfect mind to bring into this combination and potentially pull out a win.
Yeah, I mean, Miro has to be feeling pretty confident going into a lobby like this. I mean, the guy has won 6 FNCSs. Remember when we took a look at that stats and summary and we were like, hey, listen, we have 9 total FNCS wins kind of playing in this lobby. Yeah, Miro has 6 as them, as a little reminder there. So yeah, the experience is going to be there. But I also remember kind of talking to Kelly before the show kicked off today, and she was like, listen, I don't think Miro's going to win the first game, but I think he's going to pick up on some things as we go deeper and deeper into the competition today, as we go deeper and deeper into these games. And I really, really like that call out, Kelly, because I think Miro, if he does go ahead and win it, it'll be one of the later games.
I was so scared that I was talking trash and you were about to expose me for a second,
No.
but thank you. I'm glad it was a good thing.
Kelly, you say nothing but good things all the time. But let's bring up that lobby list. Let's talk about the next set of duos and see more names. We got to talk about Moneymaker and F9. EU plants coming on over, wanting to hang out in NAC, but we're kind of put in a situation we have to fight our way through the LCL. Have they learned enough, taken enough experience on NAC that we can maybe translate that to a win?
Well, you say plants, and immediately I think of little, like, you know, buds of flowers, and maybe they just needed a little bit of watering, maybe they needed a little bit of sun, and now they're ready to blossom and kind of compete. We actually saw in game number 3 for Heat 1 that they got 2nd place, and then even after that, they got 4th. So they are able to make it to the end game, just barely missing out on that win. I think, honestly, between, you know, we have multiple EU players now, what's a couple more for NAC?
Listen, for Moneymaker and F9, obviously, we talked about it in Heats. They had to prove the investment worth it over in Heats, right? You have to qualify to the Grand Finals to go ahead and justify the move over from EU to NAC. They are now on their last leg here. Only 5 games to make that move worth it. I am really, really hoping for these guys. But listen, Kelly, we have talked about 5 teams already, and there is one team that we have not talked about yet. We're only playing 5 games today. Only 5 teams can actually go through the Grand Finals, and I feel like the one team that we haven't talked about yet so far is the one team that everybody at home is thinking about. It's Canada. It's Sphinx.
Whew, Canada and Sphinx. Can you imagine after a 6-year run for Canada to make every single FNCS Grand Finals and to be the only player in the world to do that, and then to get an NA West Grand Finals championship, come back to his home region and not make it to the following Grand Finals? I can't imagine it. Zeke, your script writing is terrible. I'm disappointed in you because Vivid, if anyone has to make it today, it's this duo right here.
And here's the thing, man. We all know that Canada kind of thrives under the pressure. He loves the spotlight. He loves to kind of have these outbursts of moments where he's very, very energetic. So I went ahead, again, I took a look at his socials today. I was wondering, you know, what he's kind of been saying, and he knows it, right? Because he went ahead, he put on socials, quote unquote, today I either lose the longest grand streak in Fortnite or continue it. So the pressure is on. He himself kind of feels it. He knows exactly what is on the line today. That being said, I feel no more confident, I feel like, in any other player than Canada himself. I already mentioned it. He lives in the highlight. He lives in the spotlight. I feel like these guys can for sure win a game today.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. This is Canada we're talking about, okay? This is Canada. This is all part of his grand plan. Clearly, it's, you know, he's going to go ahead and win, right? It's going to be him. He's going to be there. Maybe he's going to, I feel like it's going to be like a game 3 win. Maybe, you know, maybe he's going to go crazy, Kelly, get a game 5 win. It's going to be, it's Canada, Kelly. It's Canada.
I'm rooting for him, but then I look at all these names and there's just so many people I'm rooting for. The Skybasers are here, Brennan and Jordan, and I don't want to be biased, but I'm totally biased for them. I just hope to watch them in one in-game Vivid.
Listen, it was crazy looking at our stats coming out of yesterday. They had 0.64 average elims in their game. We know exactly what they have kind of been doing. And listen, hopefully none of our players that are kind of playing have realized that these guys are in, so they just don't look up, and it kind of plays out perfectly.
Well, it's time. I am getting word the LCL is prepared for us. 5 games, and the only thing that matters is the victory royale. Casters, let's get ready to kick off the competition.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the last chance lobby here, Jacob. These are the final moments, and Zeke gave us a lot to think about. Kanata here has a lot on the line.
Yeah, it definitely does. Whether you're one of those teams, though, that is qualifying for your first grand finals, you're just trying to keep your career in Fortnite alive, or Kanata, there is something on the line for everybody. You could build a legacy, or you can continue that legacy. Over 30 FNCS finals appearances for Kanata. This one is just another one in the books, but it's not going to be easy at all. You look all around, there's contested spots, there's uncontested spots, there's underdog players. This one's definitely going to be interesting.
Yeah, we do have a relatively quality lobby. I'm looking at the names here, and this is going to be super interesting. But, I want to get to the contested jobs. Let's jump in for game number 1.
Some big names that we do know about that are going into this with the thought of being contested. We know Bucky and Cam over at Sinister Strip. We know Shadow and Virgo over at the Heatwave Harbor. But we also got Latte landing. Diego Plays and Ultra going up against Kara and Cam on the other side. And this is where it's going to get interesting, because Latte landings, unless it's a certain bus path, you kind of end up splitting the drop. So instead of just taking like a 50-50 engagement right out of the gate, you kind of get as much of a full loadout as possible before you essentially butt heads.
Yeah, but it's a small POI, right? There's really not much to work with after you get those few buildings there. Jumping over to Kanata and Sphinx. Obviously, this is about the duo of the hour, if you will. Everyone's going to be looking to the Frosted Flats here. You can see there's, of course, those opponents just nearby. I mean, what do you think coming out of this for Kanata, for Sphinx? You think the pressure, you think they're kind of living in the pressure, or are they just here to play their game?
I think right now they're here to play their game. They've dealt with contested fights before. In the beginning of this season, they were even battling against Shadow and Virgo at Heatwave Harbor. So they're not necessarily scared of a fight, especially since now they're at Frosted Flats. So the fight is just a little bit more worth it. But on the other side, Diego Plays and Ultra. You can see they already got one of those eliminations. They got a huge advantage in this fight. Kanata gets one as well, gets the first down onto one, and now both sides have a little bit of a lead here.
That's right, Diego winning his fight. Kanata and Sphinx initiating. It's Kanata who, of course, gets that first elimination. What a way to kick this one off. And you know what? The best thing that they can do is actually dominate this drop. Really show the other duo, hey, if you stick around here, you won't stand a chance against us. But we all know being contested for any professional duo is tough to turn into a victory royale. The stats usually say it's harder, right? And rightfully so.
Yeah, it's definitely never easy. You just got to be able to kind of take those opportunities, just like Kanata and Sphinx, kind of winning the drop and be able to run with it, turn it into a win, because nothing is guaranteed. These Chris and Drew find themselves in a little bit of a tough spot here over towards Lifty Lodge. Chris and Drew is a team that at moments have captured the community. Are they next up? But they've run into struggles and back-to-back heat lobbies. Hopefully he can keep himself alive, get them back into the game. It's just he's being put behind the pacing here of the rest of the lobby.
Most definitely. Well, enjoying things here at the Sanctuary for now. Magma Void do, again, have that elimination lead at the moment, but just opting to kind of hang out here, take advantage of controlling the majority of the drop right now. Things are coming together very well for them. So far, this game's off to a pretty hot start. We, of course, saw when you came into the drop map, there were several teams looking to contest one another. And already those fights are ending. Jumping to Virgo and Shadow, a team that no one expected to be here. What I really love about this duo here is the support coming out from Nikov and, of course, the French community as they are cheering on for the M8 brother. But look at this here. Back to the coast we go.
Yeah, you're seeing just kind of a lot of contested fights here early on, kind of stall out. It kind of gives you a little bit of deja vu of game one. If either one of those heat stages kind of shows what's on the line, where eliminations really don't mean much, other than maybe you get some surge, a little bit more of a loadout as Maji goes in for a sneak attack, boxes him up. Sometimes that patience actually does pay off for Blue and Maji, the contested fight that they turned their way perfectly with that first elimination. But the thing is here, Monster, Flo actually has the key card to the vault underneath Cluster Coast. So if he disengages, he has a chance to get the reboot card, get his teammate back in the game, and then maybe later on revisit Cluster Coast for a huge reboost back in the game.
Yeah, definitely will be a play in the force back pocket, but Flurry here finishing up the opponents. Very nicely done. So they're starting to add up those elims there. Money making for 9. Still on here with the Moneymaker F9. Okay, so they're just setting up this huge base here, this surge tower, if you will, on top of the mini machine. Do like that. They have nice, clear lines of sight on all the opponents here.
Then you kind of add in the fact that the mending machine down below them, teams do tend to lurk in that direction of mending machines. Maybe they'll be scared away of the big surge base there. Either way, Moneymaker and F9 setting themselves up for a decently good game here as long as the surge allows in the zone pulls. Sinister Strip. We thought they would be contested. Whether they were or not, it seems like they either went their separate ways or Bucky and Cam are easily able to position themselves up on top of Sinister Strip. Again, another one of those positions where depending on where the zone goes, whether it pulls far away or pulls to them, all they have to do is be patient here because Surge, I think those opportunities will naturally present themselves where they're at.
Yeah, definitely. Jumping over to Brennan and Jordan. I love that after they showed us that they can make high ground and the heats, now we're like, all right, let's tune in a little early. Let's see what the strategy is looking like. Of course, part of it is not only maxing out material counts to start to prepare, but it's also getting the extra heals, right? To really go the distance you start playing the Storm.
Yeah, whether it's the small fry, actual floppers, or slurpfish there, anything for this type of strategy is definitely going to work on it. And I kind of like what they're doing here too. Instead of kind of doing it on the outskirts of Wonky Land, on the outskirts of Latte Landing, they're trying to minimize the amount of early game damage that they're going to take because they haven't even started their base project yet. They are going to spend a lot of time inside of the zone, so you want to minimize that storm sickness risk there and now. And I think that's going to be a good preemptive opportunity. His double pump seems to be in a little bit of a struggle over towards Golden Grove. Another team towards the outskirts, so you definitely have to be careful with how long this one goes.
Yeah, this one right here is a pretty tough fight to try to initiate, but see ZXZ doing a good job getting that first knock there. Not too sure where the opponent went, so you can see him sort of hesitating not to get snuck up on, but the enemy's right under the ramp here next to her. Looking on by. He ends up finding out, and Pluto gets one pump there. Well played. So they wrap things up here.
Just from one side, you can literally see just kind of the struggles of some of these contested fights or the fights around the map that kind of have a decent amount of metal, that have the mending machine in terms of Golden Grove, and then the whole other side of the map where G-Money and Scare get uncontested Calamari Canyon. And this mountain here is where I feel like 90% or so of the teams that do land Calamari Canyon, uncontested or not, do start to base up. It is right above one of those mending machines, and it is in a prime location where all teams around you are going to have to rotate. So the possibility of storm surge tags is definitely going to be high. And then it obviously does help that it's basically in the center of zone.
Yeah, this go around here, I mean, the map is surely giving us a lot of activity in this general area. Not bad for, of course, pulling the zone. Scare, G-Money, a team that we're, of course, looking highly towards as far as their performance here today. But again, all that matters is winning the game here. Consistency won't get you anywhere. Jasper is on the other side. Forced to disengage here. None of these fights are worth really anything, right? If you think about it, as long as you get your surge damage, it's very much worth getting on out of there.
Yeah, and so I do like the decision, Isaac. You know, just not necessarily chase. They have everything they need there. Mending machine, metal, launch pads up top. Not necessarily getting greedy for a singular elimination, which we have seen throughout the weekend so far, letting your emotions get the best of you in certain situations, which in turn cost qualification spots. As Maji and Blue staying alive over towards the Cluster Coast. Remember, The initial elimination that they were able to get, Flo had went down. That is the guy with the actual key card for Cluster Coast. I think Blue and Maji are just saying, hey, they have to return eventually, right?
Yeah, it's pretty tough move on their part to just go ahead and sit on the card. But it is what it is. No harm, no foul. Sinetto, Saifta, after a pretty strong early game showings and their heats, you know, we got to celebrate their abilities. They found themselves still here. Wasn't able to pull through in those final games. Jump into the battle, though. This is back into the storm we go. We have Carr. We have Crazy on the low ground right now. Wallahi, Chase up top. They're in full control here. Doesn't seem like they want to do anything rash, trying to wait out the opponents down low. The opponents down low actually starting to run out of meds here, so the clock is ticking.
Yeah, this is not an opportunity for Crazy and Exile you want to let go to waste. They kind of let that Heats opportunity kind of flying by as Maji and Blue, they do drop down, are able to get the elimination on the Rocat, but again, that's not the initial guy that they're looking for. Flo has returned back on over to the Cluster Coast. It's a matter of what meds he does have on him, what gold he has on him, if he does not have that reboot card yet, but he's definitely putting himself in a weird predicament here, because if he goes down to Blue and Maji, they get what they came for.
Yeah, you see him right there, just kind of waiting this one out, trying to heal. Again, luckily the visuals of those heals didn't go through, but Maji and team haven't even fully looted the rest of this drop either. They really were adamant on sitting by, trying to wait out the opponent there, but either way, Flo's still in the game. There goes the tossing of the med kit, so we're going to be looking to disengage here shortly, I believe. On the other side, Ultra, Diego, kind of hiding out here, pinched in between the two players, but they're way ahead as far as damage is concerned. They surely have won the early fight here. Now finding Ghoul on the outside, though. Bad Shockwave's going to send Ultra by himself. He's got the side angle. In the end, it might work out as Diego flushes him out. Nice little find there. The Siphon they didn't need, but they'll welcome all the material count they pick up here.
Now I feel like state of the game, depending on where you drop, you're just kind of stuck on the outskirts, you kind of get stuck out of position, especially if there's early damage there. As City and Daze just get the elimination, that's going to be 2. Gotta imagine just a little bit of that shield missing from City, so maybe not taking too much damage there in that fight. Gotta be helping that Storm Surge as well, and I think that's gonna be a real key to unlock kind of a lot of freedom in this lobby, where you don't have to take that risk, go box to box, especially as this game proves to go later and later. Right now, there is a lot of space where you can take some of those fights, but once we get in the 5th zone, 6th zone, that's where it becomes a lot more risky.
Yeah, am I crazy to think that with how fast teams are getting eliminated right now, like, this is just going to work for Brennan and Jordan? Like, am I bugging out by thinking that? Because less people in the storm, more teams looking away, essentially, you know, is more chance for them to actually get situated, have a little RNG land on their side, but only time will tell here.
Well, I feel like, I was about to say as your resident Skybase aficionado, but as we jump on board Kanata and Sphinx, I think there's a little bit more important things to talk about. You see the loadout here. Purple shotgun, Warforged AR, full and maxed minis, or I should say big pots and chugs with some extras as well. You can kind of see where the zone was kind of pulling before this. They're kind of relatively towards the center. So even though they're not necessarily elevated as high as you see G Money and Scare in the distance, they know multiple teams are going to have to rotate to them. And while others are going to have to worry about those sky bases, they are not, because they're already going to rotate out.
Yeah, we're really starting to see the thinning of the herd. A lot of good teams starting to pop up here and now. Sphinx and Kanata, of course, making the clean rotate right now, but they're moving right into some pretty serious gamers. You got Void, you got Magma. You saw F9 there kind of positioned up. Here's the opposite angle of other teams moving in. The Storm, of course, already opting to start doing that 2-tick of damage, so this is where things start getting pretty serious.
Outside of it pulling all the way towards the south, this could be a decent pull for Brennan and Jordan, as long as they're quick to the hurry and have enough mats. Because there are a lot of mountain ranges that teams are going to have to bypass to go. Flurry bacon, egg, and peace. Might be getting a little hungry after that one, but 700 damage above the threshold. They have to be eating pretty well here in this game. Max chug jugs. They got med kits for when they make it in towards the zone. They just got to be able to dodge some of this damage, but even if they do take shots like you saw there, it's not really going to affect them too much up until now, where Diego and Ultra actually catch one of them out of position.
Feeling super good about that shield crack right there. They're going to take full advantage, look for the refresh right now. Meanwhile, Northern Caliper on the move here, 137 damage above the threshold. Still have maximum shockwaves as well. The zone will be landing right on top of them, so they're just trying to hold this key positioning here while the storm slowly moves in. There they go, hugging up there to the outer edge. Maji Blue managed to find themselves into a safe spot. This is all in all looking pretty decent for the teams down here. But there's a lot going on, right? You see Northern, of course, has that elimination. It was picked up in the storm as they were rotating. Makes sense now why they would have wanted to kind of stay up here, right? Absorb that material and base up around it.
Yeah, you never know where the zone is going to go, and it kind of helps a lot that Siphon, that way you can save that med kit for later. Kicks Zemo, only 38 above the damage threshold. At least they're above that damage threshold, though. There's going to be the positive. Just no bad peaks here in this situation. Even though they're above this threshold now, though, Monster, they're going to have to look for Surge in the next one. They will fall below as that threshold changes. It's just a matter about how you handle that pressure, and that's where I always think preemptive strikes may be the best for that scenario instead of just simply trying to out-heal it. And now with that, they are full healed up. They're going to have open windows here of opportunity to try to get some damage.
Yeah, Zemon kicks only 29 above the damage right now. Threshold is starting to go back and forth here, so I'm actually surprised they don't take the opportunity here to shoot the team that had the open edit right there. That might prove to be a misplay. We'll end up seeing how their damage fares in the coming moments. Chance, Madden on the other side, a very skilled duo. Again, there are teams that we very much recognize that have made multiple finals. They are the scary ones to look out for. Kanata Sphinx, they're in the distance, starting to set up. Kanata finding himself with a lack of shield, using the first of his few big pots here.
Yeah, you can already see only 119 above the damage threshold. That number's going to move around just a little bit depending on the activity of the rest of the lobby. But he knows that's not a super comfortable feeling. That's why he's looking all the way towards the back. Kipfi's going to get a couple shots landed on him, 300 above. And that's the plan here for Kanata and Sphinx, is not necessarily get elims, get a refresh by any means. It's more so get above the damage threshold, so that way if it does pull far away, they're prepared with that shockwave, but they get gifted. The zone pulls to them. That's going to allow them to kind of save some of those resources.
Save resources. They already have the bird's eye view on the lobby. This is looking really good for our Sphinx and Kanata fans right now. They're at their eliminations as well, so starting to pressure up the lobby just a bit here, but again, they will need a little bit more damage if they want to get absolutely comfortable. Getting hit by Surge would be devastating to the strategy here. We already know, Jacob, we're expecting other teams to go flying for high ground. Talking about teams that are below, though, Osid, Mero find themselves in a bit of trouble here.
One of those bad beats against Shadow and Virgo, both peaking at the same time, but Miro goes back for seconds, gets him right back above the damage threshold, which is very important because that is active Surge, 25 damage every 7 seconds. And they know they're going to have to use one of those shockwaves to rotate to the next zone, so they're going to leave themselves open to taking damage. So that's why it's important here and now to try to put them above that damage threshold, but they're still flirting with that line, 17 below. This is not where you want to be on the rotation.
On the right side, 17 below still. Cam and Bucky, though, playing for a pickup here. Cam somehow is going to find a miracle save here, so Bucky and Cam's opportunities might still be in. Oh, no, they ended up being targeted there. Mero just putting in big work on the other side, though, keeping himself in the game now. Bucky is down, though. Cam left to play this one out. As a solo, someone jumps in Cam's bots. Off he runs. This might be the run for them.
Yeah, scrambles around, finds himself just a little nook and cranny to call himself safe there. But he knows he has to kind of push back on out. Zone is going to force him just kind of out of position just a little bit. And with more and more opportunity for players to move in his direction, you can kind of see him lurking around. thinking of getting a possible elimination here might be the right play. 82 builds. Remember, the win is the only thing that matters. It's Virgo and Shadow. We saw them deal damage to Miro early on, but they're now in a bad spot. Luckily for them, Virgo able to find that one key elimination that might bring him back in the game.
Huge elimination right there. Extra material counts. I mean, that ends up capping them out there. So Virgo and Shadow finding themselves somewhat in a tough spot, but at least they bounce back with an insane elimination there. Looking at things from the high ground, though, Kanata and Sphinx still maintaining their dominance here. They're playing it like professionals as well. Look at that, going base to base here, front side shockwaving. I mean, this is what you expect of a very skilled duo to execute like. Meanwhile, everyone else still busy, but Virgo and Shadow eyeing up second ground. Aloe and Listen doing in the same as well. The good teams are floating towards the top already.
Yeah, and this is one of those situations for Kanata and Sphinx. You invested so much up into this point. That's why they're taking a lot of the focus, the second height teams. The pre-chop comes in, but that's Kanata and Sphinx chopping their own builds, giving less and less space for anybody to try to attach onto as Ultra and Diego end up in a struggle. Ultra's going to go down. Spray coming from all directions. Diego has nowhere to go until he eventually gets shut down, but the flank comes in. But a bad shockwave. Aloe accidentally shockwaves his teammate off as he goes for high ground.
That's the panic of making a fast play without your teammate being in the best position possible. Aloe's thinking twice about it. He's still trying to maintain things, though, here. I'm assuming Listen's got his own shocks, but this is a tough spot to be in either way. He still has material to take this fight, but Sphinx commits to it. Listen comes from outside the storm, and Jacob, just like we called it, it looks like the battle is in hands of Sphinx right now.
Yeah, you got one up above, one down below. Sphinx and Kanata taking two different angles, leave him open to a 1v2 for a short moment. Sphinx knows it. He gives up the high ground to Listen and his duo here. This could be a good moment for him and Aloe to try to take control of this game. It all depends on how much they invested, but he drops down. Kanata and Sphinx realize the solo opportunity, and they take it. Down goes Aloe, but just in time. Kanata and Sphinx, they're getting sprayed through the box. Damage is bleeding through. They have to figure out a way to get back up.
That was an insane edit by Kanata to actually save his teammate there. Listen is so healthy at the moment. He's eyeing them up. He sees exactly where they're at, but he gives them a brief moment to get through. Meanwhile, Kanata, healthy, wins another clutch engagement, and he's just going back to back with it. And now they managed to re-control the situation here. They are back in business, but as one falls, another comes up. Bizzo now cranks to the high ground. He's only got a few maps to work with. It's not enough to maintain, so Kanata's just looking to flex up here.
Yeah, they put themselves in an all-or-nothing situation here because of how long they were fighting, though, on the other side. Kanata and Sphinx have no choice but to give it up, but more and more teams are joining the party. Madden and Chance. This is the team that lands on the north side of the map. A new team to the LCL. They weren't even playing together in heats, but they're making these little moments matter, just like Kanata and Sphinx. Forced down below. No extra build. Zone is on their back. They can feel the heat of the lobby right now, but they get at least one knock. Can they go back to back? No, they can't.
They tried, and they tried, but in the end, they end up falling. I'm looking at the high ground, of course, an experienced team, but on the ultimate low, you see Shadow, Virgo, F9, Moneymaker now trying to find their footing here. It's quiet for some teams. For others, they're in the absolute blender here now. Virgo and Shadow starting to turn online here. 3 eliminations for them. This is getting interesting.
Yeah, we've seen 4 or 5 teams, maybe even more, stand it up for the high ground, invest everything. That's giving Shadow
Scare's going up.
That's giving Moneymaker a chance, and another team, but another questionable shockwave here. But Madden's going to go down nonetheless to the zone. Scare's going to get credit for that one, but he is going to fall. Can this revive come through? They are on high ground. They have extra chugs, but is timing on their side.
He ends up sticking it. Meanwhile, Virgo sees the opportunity, goes for it. Shadow lost in the process, and this is all up to Virgo now. The 4th elimination, the refresh comes through, finds a small win condition right there. It's F9 and Moneymaker on the low ground. Virgo up top. It's a 2v1 situation. Meanwhile, F9, no material counts, goes to the shockwave. His teammate tries to break him up. Up he goes. They're both on top of him, but Virgo putting up an excellent defense right now. And then the follow-up, he tries to go around, and the storm's gonna do so much. Can he get the last shot? And he does win the game.
My
gosh!
Cannot believe what we're witnessing here. This is the last chance lobby, right? We're not even in the grand finals yet. Shadow and Virgo, as a solo, he clutches it up to take down Moneymaker and Fanai. And K1 is already heating up, Zeke. Vivid! Vivid! It's happening! Ah! It's Shadow Virgo. Vivid, they did it. Oh my God. Oh, Shadow and Virgo, Vivid. Ah!
I mean, listen, who would have thought any different? I mean, listen, Shadow and Virgo. Actually, we got to put a giant exclamation point on Virgo himself. I mean, this guy proved how good he is mechanically at the Summit land and instantly here in the last chance lobby. Unfortunately for these guys, they were kind of pushed to this last chance lobby, but as soon as they kind of force themselves into this specific lobby, they're like, listen, guys, we can win a game here. Do not worry about us. On the back foot of Virgo with an incredible 1v2 against the Moneymaker and F9 nonetheless. Oh my gosh, Kelly, this is why this guy was receiving so much hype at Summit.
And they played that so well. There was so much pandemonium going on the high ground, so many teams switching hands. And then when those teams failed, you know, they dropped to the low ground and then there's more chaos there. Shadow and Virgo, at least from the moments that I got to watch them play, were kind of just sticking to the mid ground. We've seen them go on these heavy elimination games. And for this end game, they weren't necessarily going for these crazy heavy elimination games. 3 elims for Virgo is relatively low. And that's what he knew he needed to do for this end game. Watching for that perfect moment. He knew that Madden was down. Chance was going to go for the revive, or I'm sorry, Chance was trying to get revived. And so Virgo took that chance, saw that it was happening, able to get the punishment on them, and then to handle the 1v2. My goodness, Zeke, this is just game number 1.
The 180 there. Oh my gosh, that was crazy. I cannot believe it. I promise you right now, Shadow is going crazy. He's like, dude, Virgo, we are going to finals. Obviously, you know what? We're just going to say they didn't even worry about it. They just wanted just one more game, Vivid. They wanted one more game of practice before final.
Listen, I don't think they're happy that they got one more game of practice. Now they made it to the finals, but they definitely did not want one more game of practice.
It's fair. It's fair. We are big Shadow Virgo fans on this broadcast, and we will forever be big fans of them. For now, a break. When we return, though, we'll have to talk more about game number 2 because 4 more VRs is all we have left. We'll see you soon.
I'll go here. I'm popping a med bit. Wait, short. Got 6 builds? No. Wait, if you're med, wait. 100! 100! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Milk can help you grow. Milk can't prevent your ride from blasting into space.
Fortnite fam, welcome back to the last chance lobby. Me and Viv, after on that break, we were celebrating. We were high-fiving each other. We were jumping. We were screaming like Shadow Virgo, game 1. They're going to finals. But we still have 4 games left to go, which Kelly's got, you know, that pressure's starting to mount. My nervousness is starting to mount as well. Only 4 games left to go, and only the victory royale matters. There's still some big names out here that they need these VRs, Kelly. They need these VRs.
Yeah, 100%. And I think at the start of the end of that game, we kind of thought that maybe it was Kanata and Sphinx that were going to be kind of walking away with it. As far as high ground, they took it around zone 9 and held on to it for quite a while. But we do know that if you pull height that early, I say zone 9, this is zone 7, and it already looks like they have an early height. When you hold it this high, and especially when it looks like they already have minimal mats just by zone 8, and it looks like so many people are already pushing to steal height, it was an inevitability that they were going to have to drop it, and they relatively successfully defended it and even dropped it again. But once you just take so much damage, Vivid, you lose so much material and so many heals, it's hard to recover.
So here's the thing that worries me a little bit about Kanata and Sphinx. I feel like a lot of people at home would look at this and be like, oh, wow, like Kanata and Sphinx are doing great. They're kind of claiming the early high ground. I don't like it at all, because we know exactly how these games are kind of going to play out. And we got a little bit of a sneak peek at it in this specific game where, yeah, we saw Kanata and Sphinx are up on the high ground. But how many teams do they have to keep fighting that are just going to keep overdrive grenading up? Because teams are just going to keep coming, because the only thing that they want to play for is the win, which is why we saw towards the later half of that game, right, when we got all the way to zone 12, our 2 healthiest teams were actually on the low ground, right? We saw Moneymaker and F9, who were in a great position to actually win the game, and then also Shadow and Virgo, a team that was also very, very healthy. 2 teams that didn't go for that win con that Fortnite is kind of known for, because so many teams are going for it. I don't know if it's going to be sustainable. So it's great that Kanata and Sphinx can kind of get that high ground, but perhaps just a little bit too early. So I hope they kind of look to maybe play a little bit differently going into some of these following games, because I feel like that might be the best bet.
It's fine, right? They've got 4 chances. That's like, it's fine. 3 more chances than they need. You know what I'm saying? It's everything's fine. You did mention Moneymaker and Fanayan there as well. You know, another duo that they were looking pretty good, right? Taking it all the way to that 1v2 situation. Unfortunately, didn't quite work out in that favor, or in their favor rather, but they are currently looking like they're firing on all cylinders, making it up all the way there, Kelly. At that point, you're kind of, you know, leaning into like, hey, do you have what it takes to win? Getting there, they've proven they can do after 1 game. If they get there again, I gotta feel like they've got to be able to push that, right?
Well, somewhat of a reflection of Virgo as well. Earlier, you say they're firing on all cylinders, but all the way to zone 12, they had 0 eliminations. So unless they're like a 2-cylinder car, I don't know how many cylinders they're running. But again, that is the meta that is within the LCL. You have to be passive. You can't take these crazy engagements and have these, you know, double-digit elimination games. So to see Moneymaker and F9 just play this passive on the low ground game, and to be able to do that without having to worry about Storm Vivid, is definitely what a lot of other players are going to be looking to do in these next 4 games as well.
I mean, Moneymaker and Fine just played game number 1 so well. If they can do that exact same thing again, kind of get themselves in a situation where they're on the low ground, a healthy duo, then yeah, their chances to go ahead and win for sure go up. Let's go ahead and talk about one of those other teams that is kind of sending the high ground right now, right? Madden and Chance were kind of up there, kind of overdriving up, getting themselves into the mix, and these type of play styles, like, sometimes they work out if you are kind of timing it very, very well. If you take a look at their position, right, they're on the high ground, they've got the weaponry, they got some of the, you know, resources to go ahead and win this one out. But again, kind of getting a taste of their own medicine. When they kind of look up, there's a team above them that just does so much damage, and we kind of saw it right there again. Scare starts to go up as well. So even Madden and Chance kind of taking the late opportunity, what was it, in like zone 11, maybe zone 12. Again, they get themselves put into a situation that even though they took it late, it still feels like too early. Like, maybe high ground is just not sustainable from any point in the game, but exciting to kind of see them gain control over it for at least a little bit of time. Look for these guys to go ahead and probably send high ground again.
You do have to wonder, in that moment for the revive, it definitely made them vulnerable. I wonder if maybe he just went to kind of hold high ground, would have been a different story. But regardless, to do that and even pull it off was pretty impressive. So they're looking good after game number 1, and I can expect more good things coming in out of the following games.
Yeah, props for sure, right? That's a very risky play, but again, Kelly used the word earlier, pandemonium. That's what the LCL is all about. So let's see if another duo can find a calm in that storm. Game number 2 is ready. So let's jump back on that battle bus.
You know, Zeke, I might be calm now. I might be calm as we stand, but let these games continue in that same trajectory. I cannot say the same thing later on in the day. But what Vivid's basically saying is let Game 1 Monster be a wake-up call to anybody that looks towards high ground.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we got a sample of what it's going to take, and more importantly, grabbing it early was working until you eased up the pressure. Once the other team saw an opportunity, bam, the shockwaves came up, and it was just a matter of time there, Jacob.
Yeah, so you just really got to be careful. You take it too early, you got to expect team after team to use those shockwaves to send it towards high ground. So you really have to have that mental math in your mind. How many materials is worth this first fight? How much do I invest? Because if I know anything and Game 1 showed anything, that more and more teams will continue to send it. We're going to see that here because Game 2 is ready. So let's jump right into it.
Judging by those last few performances there, I mean, a few teams were popping off and definitely had my attention. I was looking at Scare G Money's performance. You saw Cam and Bucky nearly go the distance there. And then, of course, the biggest upsets are going to land for Kanata and Sphinx. You know, even though they're contested at the drop, they had a good time last time around, you know, keying the opponents here. So I think that's going to be a surge of confidence. But coming up as short as they did, man, that's going to be a setback too.
Especially since they were one of those teams on the high ground trying to hold it, but you just invest so much, whether you're taking it early or team after team, looking to kind of fight them off. And now they have to do it yet again with the same circumstances. Contested drop, half the loot from Frosted Flats being stolen away. As we go back on over towards Latte landing again, we know this one kind of starts off a little slow between the teams that do land here. One side for each of them, and then they kind of go from there. But it looks like this time around, Ultra and Diego plays have Latte landing relatively uncontested.
Yeah, this is definitely going to work out well for them. You know, they managed to, of course, kind of have a bit of a showing there towards the end, but still need a little bit more to push it across the finish line. Cole, Ruins on the other side, just trying to go ahead and win their wonky land battle here. So far, so good for them. Comes a Shockwave pushing across. Was really going for it here. He didn't even take the time to farm up extra material at all. Just really trying to take the fight here while this player is so low and gets crushed with a monster shot. There goes the upgrade to the striker now. And Light's feeling it here.
Yeah, I was going to say this is possibly a winnable situation, but another team rotates on over. Just a quick beam from the first. It's another shot before eventually going down to Ruins. Again, we talked about Madden and Chance. This is the other half. This is Cole, who played with Madden for so long. They went to the summit, and they just didn't kind of get what they wanted to get out of that land. And now they're here, new team with Ruins, and have an opportunity winning off spawn.
Have it again from Kanata's perspective. They end up winning their first fight at the flats. That's the initial hurdle for them. From there, it's a slow walk to the end game. Bucky, Cam already rotating, but let's get back to just wrap up this fight here. Kanata, once again, wins the shots, hits what he needed. This was the Kanata we were missing in the heats, but right now he seems to be fired up.
Just a quick win there as Bucky Cam left Sinister Strip to go ahead and grab that Warforged Mythic AR. And that's going to help them a lot in a fight like this, being able to burn through the other team's materials. Cam needs to be careful not to get caught off guard as Bucky continues to go to work on the whole other angle. So we did try to peek to land a sneaky shot, but not going to be able to land it up until now. Damien trying to go ahead and push Bucky back, which kind of brings it into a relatively fair fight. Bucky Cam with a little bit of damage. One of them taking all the damage while Damien is full HP and shield.
Yeah, they seem to be kind of losing the plot here as Damien and Snowy are putting up a good counter fight, but all sides are out of material, running low on the builds now as well. It seems like the disengage is at play for Bucky and Cam. This might not be the worst opportunity either for them to go ahead and get back onto the material route. Also, look at Bucky's overall ammo. Definitely looking light.
Yeah, you can kind of see what they prioritize for the most part, getting their hands on the Warforged, and they can kind of fill out their loadout later. It's going to be a good situation for them because Sinister is so big to split. Diego, Ultra, even though they're uncontested, they're not straying away from this fight. They know this team is kind of lurking at the top of the mountain. Instead of letting them get free tags and them kind of build up their surge while taking away from you, they try to go ahead and turn the tables. But unfortunately, it doesn't look like they found what they wanted. The shockwave back in the direction of Latte landing, which isn't necessarily a bad thing either. They got all the time in the world. The zone very, very early on is telling that it's going to pull towards the north.
North zone will be welcome for some. Let's take a look. On over to F9 and Moneymaker. You know, another team that just surprised me. They showed up in the end game and they pulled a very much Shadow and Virgo-like strategy. They were pretty quiet, just trying to avoid any fights there in the end game, but after their hand was forced, you know, everything broke loose there. Jumping to the other side though, Magma, Void already picking up another elimination, so things are moving very fast from here. We're on pace, sort of like the last game, like how many teams are already eliminated here. Things are flying by.
Man, just like feels like just like heat stages, you know, Sinister Strip becoming a home for so many. The amount of materials you could farm there, different kinds. Mainly, you're gonna be your hard mats, the Scare and G Money. Not too far away from Calamari, not too far away from the mountain we know they box up on. They get that back-to-back eliminations here. Probably dropping that whole team back onto the lobby. At least they have 3 more games left and 3 more golden opportunities. But for Scare and G Money, just a shockwave really cost them a lot. We saw Scare essentially ruin the whole team's journey on high ground in that last game, which made it a little bit easier for Virgo to make that clutch happen.
Yeah, I think they would have had it otherwise. You know, having a strong duo up on height, there's no way that anyone else should have been able to dethrone them. Scare, G Money, of course, are going to be a team to keep an eye on, as we are with Brennan and Jordan, seeing how things are going for them. We're just waiting for this team to really get things to align for them. They only need one opportunity, and we'll see them up top, pushing their way towards endgame.
Just thinking right now, what would be the strategy for some of the Skyberry? Because they're looking over towards Wonky Land. And the thing about Wonky Land is for not just this season, but last season as well, you know, teams do stay up towards that wheel. They get early game surge, and they kind of let other teams kind of bypass them in a zone just like this, and they kind of late rotate with the shockwave and the wonky wheel effect. So that's what Brennan and Jordan have in the back of their mind. They're trying to be very, very careful, calculated, continuously looking off in that direction. But little do they know, it's Cole and Ruins inside of Wonky Land, continuously lurking around, not necessarily in the base above.
Yeah, they're pretty far out there too. Like, they're trying to find themselves a position to go ahead and set up their strategy here, if you will. Oh, look at that map knowledge though. Knowing exactly where to go here, but Cole, Ruins might have spotted them out. Yep, Jordan's a little cautious here.
They're just on a clock. That's going to be the only unfortunate thing for Jordan and Brennan. They're on a clock. Like, other players get to play with a different kind of feel of flexibility. You have to start your sky base at a certain point, and that point is quickly coming for them, for Cole and Ruins. They don't even know the team is there, which means they're kind of not pressed. They're not scared to take damage. They probably think they're the only ones out here enjoying this theme park. So for Brennan and Jordan, I hope to see them back later in the game, getting some scraps, seeing what they can make of this game. You see Drew and Chris over at Lifty Lodge. We saw them go down early in game number 1. And the contested drops at Lifty Lodge isn't necessarily the easiest thing. You have to contest the top mountain or go right underneath. And if you kind of go underneath and split those drops, it just becomes a pain. It becomes drawn out like some of the other fights we've seen today.
Yeah, it always surprises me to see teams fighting here on this outer edge. It seems like such an isolated area, but so many players tend to rotate down here just to kind of take a look at what's going on. Obviously, at these mending machines on the way past. You can see Flurry just hiding out here while Chris and Drew trying to get their heals situated. Sphinx and Kanata on the other side, keeping active here. This is a bit of a surprise for me, for them to want to continue to engage with teams. I guess they weren't too happy with their surge in the mid game last time, so really trying to push past that threshold. Nice little micro adjustment for them. Meanwhile, we get to jump in with Osid Mero here on the south side, trying to ambush a team as well.
I know for sure Osid landing here almost all chapter long for the most part. Obviously with a little bit of a different duo, G Money instead of Mero, but it just goes to show that there's a ton of familiarity here on this side. And you can see in Sunken Shores, I talked about the mini game, releasing the valve on one side, patching it on the other, which kind of lets you kind of make a wish for 200 gold. Not only do you and your duo get to make that wish, but any other team that has 200 gold and rotates in. So it does become a little bit of a hot spot later on in these games, and that's why you see Mir and Osid potentially returning back, because the probability of having so many different scrap loots or being able to kind of flank and get damage like this is just relatively high.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised Mako and Daze actually saw Osid there. You saw the builds coming out a little prematurely, so I think they had a feeling that someone might have been lurking nearby. There it is. Osid opens with a few tags just to go ahead and give himself a little bit of that lead. Mero doubles back to the house where you saw that med kit. Taking advantage of the free midi while he can. Meanwhile, just flexes your city. The other side. Ooh, they're right behind Diego and Ultra. Just going to open fire, but doesn't hit the shots and doesn't wait for his teammate either, so might have been a small misplay there. Either way, Diego and Ultra are going to be happy. They don't have to dig into the heroes or slow down.
Yeah, you got to think when a lot of players are VOD reviewing certain situations like this, it's little moments like that that may not necessarily make or break a game, but compound those same results throughout the course of the game. It definitely kind of puts you in a bad spot. You wonder where their surge is at, how a shot like that would help them later on in the game. You see the zone moving south of Calamari Canyon. So for those that were kind of eager to position up around this area, got to imagine are sitting good. Whether they don't have a lot of surge now, the opportunity is going to be there as soon as the rest of the teams in the north and the eastern side of the map start to rotate in.
Soneto, Zyptek getting the first warnings here. Looking really decent on the overall damage at the moment. Zone's pretty much right on top of them. We're going back to the canyon here this go around.
This is where it gets a little bit more stacked. This edge of the map, you've seen teams on high ground, teams on low. Others by the vending machine. It's all on the eastern edge where more and more teams are going to have to slowly but surely begin to rotate in. Kanata and Sphinx, you see the Mythic in their inventory. 19th in their heat, just kind of outside of that bubble consistency. 11th place in the last chance qualifier to make it here into this last chance lobby. Just got to be able to win one of these 5 games today. Just like Civ and Haris. Even though they're below the damage threshold, they do have some extra heals to try to pick themselves back up, and they have Pluto on the run.
Yeah, even with 2 elims right now, they seem to be struggling here and now. Teammate down, barely making it to the storm. Not much to work with for Civ and Haris. It's cost them a fair bit, but clearly they are much more and ahead. Storm now jumping into 2-tick territory. Do notice they don't have extra whites to work with. They have to go fast and now. There's Pluto, kind of keeping an eye out here. Civ wastes no time, playing very, very safe here on the rotated. Just gathered the attention of the lobby, though. This is more personal for Pluto here.
And I do like that little peek from Pluto. Immediately, Haris and Civ make it in towards zone. He already has 2 full boxes built, and he tries to put out pressure, saying, essentially, don't look in my direction. If you peek, it's going to be a risk. While they're safe on one side, G-Money and Skate are running into a little bit of troubles on the other. They're going to be 300 or so above the damage threshold, but G-Money gets his shields cracked just like that. A couple more moves in that same direction is going to be hard for them as we get an update on my favorite team in the lobby, using somebody else's surge base to start their own sky base. You know what they say, you know, one man's trash is another man's treasure. This could be the treasure they're looking for.
Think about this. This is like just insane to me, the way that they have such a sound strategy. They know exactly when to kind of take off. They ride it out all the way to the 2-tick. And the way they use the boots to glide and get in so fast. I mean, it's just impressive, right?
Okay, so I might be out of date. I may be as not of aficionados. I forgot about the sliders being utilized in these situations.
Not ready.
And honestly, this is looking good. They make it to the edge of zone. They know it's going to open up a little bit more, and that's why they switch from the floors to the walls. Because when a team looks up, you can really see a lot of those floors being paced out. When you build a wall and then you edit the top 3 tiles, it's just a little bit sliver of a build. If you don't have kind of the right eyes, you don't look up at the right time, or you even have a clear field of view, you're not necessarily going to see them. And it's just hopefully they can make this one work, because we saw them close and now they're taking active surge. No.
Well, here's the thing, right? If they're gonna survive, they can't both stay alive. Like that doesn't make sense. So someone's gonna sacrifice themselves here. Surely they have to, like they need to. But if one of them falls, do they build a floor to like catch all the loot? I don't know. I don't see it, but we'll have to keep a close eye on it. It looks like Jordan's going to be the first to likely sacrifice himself here. They're trying to wait this one out. Brennan's going to be the one net kitting up. Well, they're both going to try to stay in. I'm pretty confident. This is crazy, Jacob.
Might be a little bit too early, but Jordan's like, bro, I got you. On the other side, while one team's just probably having the time of their life, down below, you see one going down. Lalu just kind of fighting for everything that he has, gets another shockwave, the siphon materials. He has a lot of builds to protect himself once he gets there. It's about closing the gap, and that's why he's digging into his chug jugs. 100 plus below the damage threshold. Not only is he taking Storm, he's taking